What's good, y'all? Welcome to my review for this week's episode of Sword Art Online Alicization War of Underworld. This episode was absolutely phenomenal. The Black Swordsman has finally made his triumphant return, ladies and gentlemen. Animation amazing, Arsenal looking fine as hell, but A1. Boy! We need to talk. We'll get to that part later on when we get to that scene in the episode, but your boy is a little triggered at something the anime cut out from the light novel. Maybe they might put it back in. They might throw it in later on. Who knows? Maybe they will, maybe they won't. But this kind of pisses me off now. It's nothing major. It's stuff with Kirito and Asuna, but why? And the way they did it too, I'm like, come on. The cock blocking is fucking ridiculous. Stop blue balling me, man. But we'll get there when we get there. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, man, this episode's awesome. Looks like Gabriel's finally getting back onto the spotlight, which I was kind of wondering. I'm like, yo, fam, where's Gabriel? He's pretty much, the man's practically vanished for like the last, 3 or 4 episodes, I think. But then he's back in the lead, which I'm looking forward to it. And then today's a good day. We had SAO, of course, just SAO, which is fantastic. And then tonight I got Takeover, which, yeah, it's gonna be a good day. Anyway, guys, yeah, let's just jump right in. So we start the episode off right where we left off last week. Of course, Kirito rising, and everyone's happy to see. Asuna is happy, Ronnie is happy, Zelda, everybody's happy to see our boy Kirito once again among the living, and no longer brain dead Kirito. I'm gonna miscall him that, but hey, I'm glad to see my boy back in action, ladies and gentlemen. So he starts walking towards Visago. He extends his hand out and his sword comes at him like he's fucking Thor. I thought that was hella badass. That was so fucking epic, ladies and gentlemen. So after that, he kind of gets ready. He's carrying Yujo's sword, which is still broken. And it's like they just start going at it, and Visago's going on like, I have waited 2 years for this. And he like throws him over, he like just grabs my collar and throws him, but Kirito lands on him, manages to stay on his feet. He goes on like, now let's finish off showtime. We were held back in Aincrad. Let's do it. So they go at it. The animation is great. I wouldn't go as far as saying call it God tier. I don't think I would go that far. It was amazing, but it wasn't like Asuna when she was going at it. I don't think it was on quite that next level. It was close, but I don't know if I would put it on that next level. It is demigod tier. Let's just call it that. This and the animation here was demigod tier. We'll go with that. Anyway, so they go at it and then they start locking swords, and Visago has the upper hand. And he's telling Kirito that, with the attack you released, it killed that you froze them, it killed so many of your comrades. Kirito's like, and Kirito's like, I see through your bullshit there. I see what you're trying to do. You can turn people against each other and sow in your seeds of hatred. But he's like, but he sees right through. And so then he tells them that, but then he goes on like, the only way that once the guys, those soldiers that you throw on freeze, they're gonna slaughter all your friends. So for your precious friends to survive, you need to get over like, hey, kill all these guys covered in ice. And Visago has this like smile on his face, and he like goes away. He's just like, oh, well, if you want to be stubborn and die, that's fine too. So he adds more, so he puts the pressure, starting to put the pressure on Kirito. He starts like draw some blood on his neck area, and it looks like, oh shit, what's gonna happen here? But then we see Tisa. She's like clutching Yujo's scythe, or sword. And then next thing we see Yujo's hair, and we see that Kirito is like pushing Visago back. And Kirito's kind of like, what the fuck? And then we look to the side, and it's our boy Yujo helping out our boy. Which I thought that was nice. And of course Kirito starts crying, seeing his fallen friend once again with his brains intact this time. But yeah, man, so they work together, they push Visago back, and then He lifts his sword up, they unleash Yujo's Bankai. I'm gonna keep calling it that because that's exactly what it is. It's a Bankai, goddammit. So he unleashes his Bankai, and like these roses start to surround the guys that are frozen in ice. And the next thing we know, they kind of go disappear, and we see like these little like particles go up into the air. So it looks like, so we don't know what happened here. And of course, Visago goes to absorb them, but like Asuka tries to step in there, but Yuki shows up to like tell her, hey, look up, check it out. And the particles are going up, and Visago has the swords up, but it's not absorbing anything. And Shuki goes on about how, that people don't really want to kill each other, that they really come to this world for like fun and joyous and all this other stuff, and it's just like the fairy land that you and me first met, yada yada yada. And as she's talking, we actually see like they pan over to Yuki's crew, which I thought that was pretty cool. It was nice to see Yuki again, cause she was definitely. I really did dig her, and if you guys, because legit, I don't know if you guys noticed in the footage, my crew consisted of Asuna, Yuki, Asuna, Yuki. That's her full name, but Asuna, Ophelia, and Yuki, because I always like Ophelia. You guys know I love her. Asuna's best girl, and I always thought Yuki was really cool. So that's why I usually in all the SAO games, at least with this one anyway, I always have her on my team. Legit, I never changed her. Although I should probably get back on this game and get some more footage for it. I don't know. So I don't know if I don't know when I'm gonna pick up the new Alicization game. I never beat these games anyway, so whatever. I ain't got time to beat these fucking RPGs, man. Anyway, after that, so he's like looking around. He's like, why isn't it going up? He then see Kirito. He puts both swords up. And he says, release recollection, and his sword starts to glow. And I believe it was Ronnie mentions that the sword was based off of a tree, a black tree, which we know they got chopped down, all the other stuff. We already know what happened with that. So Kirito, so he's like absorbing the energy, the sacred energy into a sword, and Zelda mentioned that, that's probably why he can absorb the sacred energy. And while it has Visago's just like swiping at the air, I guess trying to get next to it. I thought that was pretty funny, that Visago was like swiping at the air and everything. But anyway, so Kirito gets like the stuff absorbed into his sword. It heals up his like little neck wound. And then his costume switches over to his Aincrad outfit, his black swordsman outfit, which it was almost like a magical girl anime when he transformed and everything. So which was pretty cool, I guess. But anyway, after that, Kirito and Yuji and Visago, they're ready. They're like, man, I hate to end this early, but this is no better venue than this. So let's go, Black Swordsman. And Kirito's like, yeah. Let's finish this. So they go at it. This is when we get the God tier animation, ladies and gentlemen. Not Asuna level God tier, but God tier nonetheless. This shit was hot. So they're going at it, they're slicing and dicing. Kirito thinks he's on the other hand, but Visago counters him with a knee to the stomach, sending him flying to the ground. Visago's charging after him. Kirito kind of falls around and then he jumps in the air and hits some element burst, I think it was. He fires off those attacks from his fingertips, those magical attacks from his fingertips. He fires them off. Visago manages to dodge a couple of them, but a couple of them get the ground creating like a smoke screen. Visago's kind of looking around for Kirito, but Kirito comes from behind and tries to stab him, but they kind of just lock swords once again, and eventually they end up and their swords end up clashing right at each other, like the tip of Kirito's sword right at right where the blade really starts at Visago's sword. So they're going at it. Visago thinks he got this in the bag. But nah, Kirito ends up just crushing his sword, and you see, and he I guess he dropped it because you see blood coming from Visago's right section, I think it was. And then next thing we see after the smoke's cleared and everything, there's this giant ass hole inside Visago, and way bigger than the original one was that Asuna gave him, and he's also missing his arm, and we see it flop down to the ground. But that was pretty hot. But then Visago's like, you think you've won, but I can just lock out, I will still chase you to the ends of the earth. I won't stop until I've slit you in the lightning splashes throats and ripped your hearts out. He's going on, telling them and everything. Kirito's like, oh, you ain't logging out, motherfucker. And Visago's like, and then as Kirito's walking away like a badass, next thing we see is that Visago becomes a tree. Yes, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, Kirito does, he keeps the sword where the hole is, and there's gold and there's yellowish aura or whatever emits from his sword and goes into Saga. What actually ended happening while Kirito's walking away, and he's saying this whole thing without looking back at him, which I thought was super badass right there from Kirito. Kirito tells him that actually that because of that, the tree, that the sword that he uses, it came from the black tree, which we know this came from a demon tree at the start of Alicization. What he did was actually transmit the memory of the sword into him, which means the Saga becomes that tree. And as he's transforming into the tree, he goes on about how that I hope that you're stuck in this tree, and that nobody could shut down this tree for 200 years. I don't know how many decades or years it will take for someone to chop down this tree, but you better pray it's not too long. And then he says something about pioneers and that building a village around here, and that one day maybe a kid will chop down this tree, referring, of course, to what Yujo was doing before they went off to take up the administrator. But yeah, man, that was pretty high. But next thing we see, once the whole thing is finished, we see this giant tree that Visago has now become, and we actually see like his face got imprinted on it a little bit, which I thought was pretty cool. So yeah, that was hype. Definitely was. That was fucking lit. So then afterwards, Kirito lifts up his black sword. He says, "Transmit durability right to area." And he pretty much like the clouds start to part, and then kind of like starts raining like this gold like particles, which end up healing everybody else's injuries. And so after that, everyone's like bowing before Kirito, and for like the Kirito bows. He says thank you to everyone, but then we get to the scene that Loki kind of triggered me because of what got cut. So let's dive into that, shall we, ladies and gentlemen? Anyway, so after Klein gets in there, so I was like, bro, you steal spotlight too much, and Liz and Silic are hugging themselves, are hugging each other, crying, like, oh my god, I'm so glad he's okay. And everyone else kind of gets some 2 cents in, and Kirito's like, thank you, and everything. Asuna makes her way over to Kirito. And Kirito says, Asuna, we need your help. She reminds him about Ben Perfected at Alicization. So he says, he extends his hand out to her, like, I'm going to need your help for this. Asuna cries a little bit. Her tears kind of like go away once she starts moving. And so they like hug each other. She like, Kirito puts her hand, she also like rubs her cheek against Kirito's hand, and it looks like Kirito like wipes a tear over. I'm thinking they're about to kiss. I'm like, and I'm leaning in. Y'all season the reaction like, I'm leaning in, and then Kirito's like, excuse me, I just picked her up, and I'm like, motherfucker, come on. So here is the passage from the light novel that got cut. I don't know why anyone feels the need to keep cutting all of Kirito and also scenes, but whatever. Allow me. Rusev Day. Okay. Asuna's face slowly parted from mine, dampening with tears but filled with the ironclad determination. I gave her a slow nod. Then there was a spark of doubt in her eyes. But for now, just for a little bit longer, you're mine and mine alone, Kirito-kun. Her lips muttered as they grown closer and closer, and pressed against mine. Beneath the otherworld's crimson skies, my black wings fluttered. My black wings fluttered gently as I shared a long, long kiss with Asuna. And at that moment, at long last, I understood why I had awoken in this world 2 years ago. The last Monday of June in the real world. So what y'all think of that? So do y'all want me to read more passages and light now in that voice? I will gladly do. If y'all got more passages and you want me to read like that, I will gladly do. But yeah, not gonna lie, this is a bit much with the writing here. Like my black wings flutter gently. It's like, what the hell is Ricky even talking about that point? But whatever, like legit, how hard was it to put that in? I mean, not with all this extra shit, but just a kiss! 2 seconds! Come on! I mean, to be fair, they did get the rest of it in there, and it was a really sweet, cute moment, but come on, man, finish it! Finish it! I sound like the fucking Green Goblin talking to Aunt May once he bumped through a window. Finish it! Finish it! Like, legit, finish it! Hey, what? Anyway, man, so. But legit, if y'all want me to read more passages of light novels in that voice, please tell me. Like, write them in the comments. Send them on Twitter. I'll do it for Twitter or whatever. But anyway. So anyway, afterwards we head over back to Clicker, I think it's the dude's name, was the hacker guy that's with Gabriel's crew. He's wondering why Visago was taking Visago so long, why is he just standing there while Kirito and Asa are on their way. And then he mentions about Gabriel that they're like 8 hours away, that the other team is out there are 8 hours away. And he said that Gabriel told him once they get the air march to resume the acceleration for the Underworld. So he goes and pulls the lever forward to extend it. But he like stops, but he can't go all the way. And what ends up happening, and there's like a lock next to it, so he needs a key. But then this dude kind of puts his hand on his shoulder, he's like, "Don't worry, fam, I got you. Let me take care of this." So then afterwards, we head over back to Higa. He wakes up covered in bandages from the blood wound and everything, and he's right there with Rinko and the other guy. So once Higa wakes and Kikoka and Rinko, they're kind of like, he's asking around what happened. They say Kirito is all good, he's active. They say he's a little too active, which I don't know what that's supposed to mean, Ricky. You trying to tell me something? Is our boy a little too happy to see us? Like, come on, man. Yeah, you're trying to tell me something? But anyway, they say he's awakened and everything. But then, next thing we know, this countdown starts. Now, I'm thinking it's some self-destruct sequence that they might have accidentally activated. It's going to blow the whole thing up or something. In a way, it kind of was, but in a way, it wasn't. What ended up happening is that and we also see that the hacker guy from Gabriel's crew, he's like kind of like holding, he was holding something, he's like, oh shit. And we see like sparks and whatever's coming from the thing. So it doesn't look like he blasted the key. He might blasted the whole thing with his pistol or whatever. But anyway, what ends up happening is that the limiters on the acceleration rate have been pretty much disengaged. Now the usual acceleration rate for human souls is about 1,200. That's the usual one for humans, and because for the human soul, which we know that's like about 2, which we know that about, I think it was like a minute in the Underworld is like I think it was like an hour in the Underworld was a year, or an hour in the real world is a year in the Underworld. I think it was something along those lines. But anyway, but the actual one for like the overall overworld Underworld itself is 5,000. That's like but that's still not the max limit. That's still not the machine going plus ultra. The hard drive is, I think he said 2 million, which counts to 200 years in there. In the world, in the Underworld, it's 200 years when it's like fully maxed out and everything, which is far more than the human soul. So they're kind of, and they got about 15 minutes, so they have to scramble to get Kirito and all that. Now the S-Hills that Sion and Sugo are connected to, they're connected by like a server or whatever, or by satellite. Those will automatically disconnect once they start to not be able to keep up. So they're good. But for the ones that are with Kirito and Asuna, who are actually inside the turtle base itself, they're kind of fucked. They have to, and they can't just simply disconnect them because it's gonna like mess up their flux lights. So they pretty much have to get Kirito to disengage or log out from the inside menu, from the control section or whatever they have to. Where Alice is. So they rush over. And so they kind of like scramble to create a plan. They gotta go back over to the bulkhead, I think it was called. They had to get back into like the server room wherever they were last time to, I guess, set it back or whatever. And they have 15 minutes to do it. Now they have about 10, so they kind of start scrambling. One of the guys that one of the security guys offers to go in there instead of Kikoka with Higa, but he says, no, I need you guys to, watch the stairs, since you guys will be engaged in the enemy, it's going to be big names, but I have to ask you to say. So they're like, understood, we're good. So then he tells them that they got to connect, that Higa set up a secure connection to Kirito on C12. So as Kirito and Asa are flying out there to catch up with Asuna, with Alice and Gabriel, Kikoka comes on the server. He's like, Kirito, Kirigaya. I was struggling to remember Kirito's last name for a second there. Here, can you hear me? And Kirito's like, what the fuck? I'm not in your control center. How are y'all picking me up? He's like, I haven't got time to explain that. And he tells them what's going on about the 200 years, and they only have about 10 minutes to get out to unlock. To log out menu. Kirito's like, alright, we got it, that's enough time. They got 10, keep on. They have 10 minutes, and Kirito's just standing there listening to him with Asuna. They're not moving and talking. They're just standing there like, fam, you got 10 minutes. Move your ass. But anyway, Kirito tells him, that's enough time. And while he's talking, we get this close-ups of Asuna's face, and oh my god, that woman is so fine, man. Like her eyes, her face. Perfection, man. Perfection, like, oh, God, Austin is so hot, man. Anyway, before I get myself into trouble and I get my channel fucking banned or whatever, before I say something that will incriminate me, they end up Austin asked him what Kirito said, because Austin couldn't hear it, and he says, that they got about 10 minutes to log out manually, and he also tells Kirito that he wants them to focus more on on getting them out rather than securing ours. Because even if you spend like 200 years to fuck, like it's gonna you returning to normal consciousness is next to zero. And Kira's like, I got it, and so they go continue forward. Afterwards, we head back to Alice and Gabriel. Alice finally makes it to that little server room where everything begins at the control center. They finally make it there. She tells Amayuri, I almost got the dragon. Amayuri and the other and the Hercules drive to go. But then Amayuri starts having like tears in his eyes. And Alice is like, Amayuri? And then she kind of picks up what he's never out to do. And he says like, no, don't do it. So they have to go back and fight Gabriel to, I guess, give her some more time. They both like fire off they start breathing fire. Gabriel blocks their attacks with ease, man, and all that shit. So they block their attacks with ease, and so and afterwards that. And so but then we see their skin gets burnt or something. I don't know what happened with them, but it looks like it's the flame started to damage themselves. Gabriel easily blocks these attacks, and he fires off another attack which takes him down for a bit, but they manage to shake it off. Then he goes for another attack, and that's when our boy Kirito comes out there in this giant beam of light. It reminded me of that light that was in the first 2 Thor films where they can teleport to different worlds. It kind of looks like that. But Kirito comes out there, his arms are crossed and everything. The man looks like a fucking badass. And that's pretty much, and Alice sees him standing again. She starts crying. She's like, Kirito, he's alive and everything. And that's it. I don't know where Austin was, but hey, here's this guy standing in front of Gabriel with his arms crossed. That shit was badass, man. And yeah, man, that is where the episode ends. Overall, man, that shit was crazy, man. Like, bro, yo. That episode was absolutely amazing, man. Like, the animation was great. Kind of pissed off they cut out the kiss, but they kept everything else in, so I guess I can't complain too much. And by the way, guys, if you guys want, because I'm an anime only, I don't know, but by the way, because I honestly wouldn't know. I've known this, but I had a feeling they cut something up because I've been watching Fox's video and he mentioned that they keep cutting Kirito and Alicization, so I had a feeling they cut something here, because I don't know why Kirito would just look at her and they're like, alright, let me pick you up. Like, fam, it's the first time you've seen your girl in like, what, 2 years? It's for you anyway? Like, come on now. But yeah, if any of my fellow anime always want to go and look up, and I'll leave a link to the tweet for any of my fellow anime that want to read the passage for themselves. There was also a second one as well. But yeah, I'll leave that all in the description box below. Anyway, guys, overall, I'm going to give this episode a 10 out of 10, ladies and gentlemen. So anyway, hope you all enjoyed the video. If you liked what you did, subscribe if you're new. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter if you feel like it. Links down in the description box below. And as always, come back for more. See you guys next time.